welcome to What's Persis podcast. I haven't changed my name since last time. It's still Robert.
And I'm Steve.
I'm Damian.
And I'm James, and on this episode we're going to be talking about some of our favourite plays, films, musicals, and other forms of media entertainment.
And if that's your thing and you're watching on YouTube, why not like, comment and subscribe?
And if you listen to us on any other platform, please hit that follow button.
What are you guys into?
I do like my horror films. I do. Horror, sci-fi, adventures as well, yeah. But mainly horrors. That's my favourite. Or horror sci-fi is a good combo too.
Yeah, I like horror films as well. Me, personally, I'm interested in the sci-fi, especially when it's to do with, like, time travel, films like Frequency. It's a film, but it's also a TV show. It's only got, like, 13 episodes, though. It did get cancelled after the first season. Me, personally, I would have liked to see where it went in the second season, but unfortunately it got cancelled. But yeah, I do, like, if you guys haven't seen it, I do recommend that if you're into, like, the time travel stuff. I've got the Terminator films in mind. Like, what's your opinions of those films if you watched them?
I haven't seen a single one.
Oh god.
Well, I haven't seen the latest one.
Dark Fate.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I've seen up to Genesis.
Well, this is just my own personal opinion. I don't even bother watching Dark Fate. I mean, in my opinion, it's a good film if it was actually the third film, because it was originally going to be the third film. Just my own opinion, just because of all the timelines and the jumping back and forth between time and etc. It's just sort of messed things up even more. I think they've made, like, way too many films of it. I know it's about money and etc., a lot of the time. But because they made this later film, I think they need one more film just to wrap things up and make everything make sense again. If you watch the films just once, it is a little difficult to follow along. You do need to have someone explain it to you.
Talking of convoluted films that don't make any sense, have you seen Tenet yet? The new Christopher Nolan film?
Not yet, no. I'd like to.
I haven't seen that one, no.
I saw it in the cinema a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And it was kind of cool, some parts of it, but it was very, very convoluted and trying a bit too hard to be clever, I thought. It had some very impressive visual sequences and stuff like that. There's a bit where they crash a plane into an airport terminal, and apparently they did that in real life. It was an actual plane and everything. It wasn't CGI. And there was a lot of very, very clever kind of visuals and things like that, but the plot was a little unintelligible, I think, would be an apt description. But I haven't actually seen any of his other films. Inception, I think, is the most famous one of his.
Oh, Inception?
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
I've watched it. I've seen it. It's interesting.
Didn't Rick and Morty kind of do a spoof of that?
Yeah, I have seen that. Has everyone seen Rick and Morty?
No, I was about to say I've never seen an episode of Rick and Morty.
How dare you?
I've heard people talk about it, obviously, but I don't know. It's a bit like Family Guy or those kind of shows. It's not really my thing.
Fair enough.
The only really, like, cartoony kind of show like that I like is I don't think it's even on TV anymore, but it's South Park. I used to watch that.
Talking of adult animated comedies, have any of you seen BoJack Horseman?
I've seen bits. I haven't seen a whole one.
I'd very much recommend it. It's set up a bit like one of those comedy shows like Family Guy or whatever, but it's actually like a very tastefully and well written drama as well, like about depression and things like that. It's a serious drama hidden in a garish cartoon.
I was going to ask, has anyone heard of the movie called The Room?
Oh, dear God.
The Room by Tommy Wiseau.
Do we have to talk about that?
Is it like a horror film? Is it?
No, it's not a horror film.
It's trying to be a tasteful drama, but it's
right.
It's so badly made, so badly written, so badly acted.
Yeah.
Just everything about it is like every creative decision was the wrong creative decision.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if every creative decision is a junction where you can either take one route or the other. You can either take the correct route or the bad route, and it's like every creative decision they've chosen the bad route. It's like it's like you can't believe how bad it is. Like, how did someone make something so bad without trying to?
How long was the credits at the end?
Well, considering every name was him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Directed by Tommy Wiseau, produced,
Yeah.
starred.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just mentioned the credits at the end because it always surprises me, really. You know, when you watch the film and you're seeing all these names, you know, scrolling along your screen, it always surprises me, like, how much people's actually involved to make, you know, a 90-minute film. It's like, really, do we need these people? I mean, some of these titles next to these people's names, like, I don't even know what they are.
No. I mean, best boy. I mean, what's a best boy? I've seen that a few times on credits. So like, what the hell's a best
Yeah, I've
boy?
always wondered that.
But in our film, at the end, I'm going to put best boy Steve.
Oh, thanks.
He's been a very good boy on set today. You can have a credit.
He's
for that.
behaved himself, he's learnt his lines, he's shown up on time, and you get a little sticker.
Little sticker.
It's a "I've been brave today" sticker.
You get the dentist.
This is the kind of thing I have to put up with from these young'uns.
Oh, here we go. Things weren't like they were in the good old days. Eh?
No, they're not. No, that's true.
Oh, back in the day, things used to be a lot easier.
Hello, Future James here. I'm partly through editing the podcast, and at this point in the recording, Rob's cat came into view, and we spent about 10 minutes talking about it, which eventually led us on to talking about the recent critically panned Andrew Lloyd Webber film of the same name.
Absolutely hate it. Dreadful. Want it to not exist in this world. And yeah, it's horrible.
You heard it here, folks. First.
Sounds like a bit of a hot take you've got there, Damian.
I've had to set the movie up a few times when I was working, and the amount of times I had to watch the opening 10 minutes of it, it just goes through me now.
Talking about more recent films, one that we were talking about the other day that's coming out fairly soon is a film called The Father.
Oh, yes.
Which is based on a play that we read we have this little script reading club that some of us do each week, and we read this play a couple of weeks ago, and it was a pretty good play. It's about dementia, and it was pretty clever. And the film, they just coincidentally are doing a film adaptation with Olivia Colman and a well-known actor whose name I forget.
Sir Anthony Hopkins.
That's the one.
Oh, what's it about?
It's from the perspective of a guy who's got dementia, an old man.
Yeah.
Things keep changing, so there's like two different actresses that play his daughter. So at one point, we've seen the daughter on stage for a while, and then in one particular scene, this other woman comes on, and he says, basically, "Who the hell are you?" And the audience are thinking, "Who the hell are you?" And she's like, "What do you mean, who the hell am I? I'm your daughter." Like, so it's from that angle, which I thought was pretty clever.
Yeah, it shows the progression of dementia. Yeah, really.
What kind of films do you like, Damien?
Films I like. I do like my horror as well. Just something about the old classic movies, sort of like Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, the whole Freddy Krueger stories. Yeah, I like the Halloween series.
Yeah,
the John Carpenter Halloween series is like one of my favorites. I also like what's it called again? Friday the 13th.
That's it.
And the Chucky series, Child Play.
Yeah.
Oh, Chucky. Oh, God, don't even mention... I mean, I like Chucky, but I hate Chucky, you know what I mean? Just that doll with the knife just creeps me out.
It's funny that I still like horror movies, because according to my dear Mum, and hello Mum if you're listening to this, when I was 3, I basically put the Omen video in the VCR, and just played it, and I was sat there laughing at the movie The Omen.
Meanwhile, when I was about 4, I got scared of an episode of Balamory, so I guess we're maybe temperamentally different.
I mean, yeah, that song at the beginning is very, very scary. That song.
How do you get scared at Balamory?
The shop was getting burgled. There was a burglar hiding in the shop.
Right.
It was a very scary, intense scene. I remember getting horribly scared by Doctor Who in 2005 with The Empty Child.
Yeah, that's it. I was just looking at it now, trying to see what episode number it is, but I can't find it. But yeah, I was just about to say I was scared by that as well.
Is that the "Are you my mummy" one?
Yes, it is.
Thought it was.
I think, yeah, I'm not particularly into horror films and stuff like that, but I think sometimes, I suppose you could call it maybe psychological horror, because with some of those Doctor Who stories, it's like, there's no particular kind of blood and guts or anything like that, but it's just stuff that's like really unsettling and creepy, like gas masks or the Weeping Angels or whatever. I think if I watched The Empty Child again now, I'd still be really creeped out by it. I didn't see the second half of it until I was 19 in my first year of uni. It took me that long to pluck up the courage to watch the second half of it. I quite like sort of comedies. I'm not particularly into horror. Sort of comedy films, like Monty Python films. I'm a big fan of Taika Waititi. He had a film called Jojo Rabbit that came out last year. That was a really good film. And then some of his other films, like What We Do in the Shadows, which is a mockumentary about vampires living in modern-day New Zealand, that I think they made into a TV show as well. That was really good. Some sci-fi, some fantasy. Been watching some really old films recently as well, like Some Like It Hot.
Oh yeah.
Been watching some of those kinds of things. I watched the film version of Streetcar Named Desire with Marlon Brando recently as well. Watched some Fred Astaire films recently, which are unchallenging but quite just fun and nostalgic, which maybe is what you need during a pandemic.
Yeah.
The other week I saw an Italian art house film called The Great Beauty, which was slightly pretentious but very good. Oh, and I also watched The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus the other week as well. Which is a Terry Gilliam film.
That's a good film.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while. I'd like to see it again.
Famous for being the last film that Heath Ledger was in.
Yeah.
He died partway through production. So they replaced him with Johnny Depp and
Colin Farrell. I think Jude Law as well.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Have you got any favourite musicals, either films or stage shows?
With musical films, I always it always seems a bit strange to me that suddenly they could be talking and then suddenly they just jump into singing, just randomly. It just seems so random to me.
Yeah, I think that's particularly more prevalent with more modern musical films as well, because I think we're so used to things that are really naturalistic. I think it works better in older films because they're a bit more artificial.
From what I've watched of Mamma Mia 2, it is so obvious that they're lip syncing. Them doing a lot of different movements that are quite obvious and make you out of breath when you're singing, but it sounds completely clear. There's something called Uncanny Valley, where it kind of gives you a little spookiness that something's not right. And that's what I'm getting with a lot of the musicals these days. My favourite musical definitely is Les Miserables.
I think with Les Mis, I believe, I don't know if this is right, I believe they recorded the singing live on set, so you are actually seeing them singing a performance. Is that right?
I think so, yeah. But they live on set anyway had little earphones that they had to CGI out throughout the whole entire movie as well. And even they done that, it made it real for me. Like, they put the effort into doing that. It made it seamless.
It's so much more like an opera, Les Mis, because it's sung the whole way through, but it has musical themes that repeat and develop and are used in different contexts. It's it's a far more classical kind of piece, and I think it really works really well as a musical. I'd love to see it on stage. I've heard it said that the film is ruined by one single performance, which is quite an impressive feat. Russell Crowe is pretty terrible in it, but I mean it's been said before.
To be fair, I kind of liked it. I kind of liked Russell Crowe's Javert. Like, yeah, it was stiff. It looked like he was just talking to a wall, but it worked somehow.
I think possibly the best film musical is The Sound of Music, partly because the original stage production is good, but there are a few things they changed about it for the film that I think are good improvements, and like it's so well shot, and the whole scenery and everything's so good, and Julie Andrews is great as well. So Steve, have you got a favourite film musical?
Yeah, there's 3 that come to mind that I like. One is Rocky Horror Picture Show, also Little Shop of Horrors, which I've just realised both contain the word horror, strangely enough. And then the third one I like, which has singing in as well, which is a film called Labyrinth, which has got David Bowie in it as the Goblin King.
Well, we've talked about films, we talked about musicals, we talked about film musicals. Why don't we talk about some plays that we've seen either on screen or on stage that we've liked?
Well, actually, James, funny you should ask, really, because I've been thinking for a while, and I generally have been thinking for a while about this play, a play called Man and Superman. The play was about an idea of heaven and hell, and it's about being in purgatory.
That's interesting.
It was very interesting. It just gave a interesting view of what other people's opinions of afterlife are.
Oh,
like,
cool.
On this play, if I remember correctly, because I watched this about 6-7 years ago at this point.
Okay.
That hell is supposed to be this fun place where everyone wants to be, and
sounds good.
Heaven is this boring politics businessmen. That's where they go to just do paperwork and stuff like that for hours on end. I want to watch that again at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, it's George Bernard Shaw. Did you see a broadcast of it, Damian?
Yes, it was a broadcast. Yeah.
Some of those broadcasts have been really good. It's a really good way of. I think I mentioned it in the last episode. It's a really good way of seeing lots of different plays and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them have been on YouTube as well, just during lockdown and stuff like that. They broadcast lots of them, most of which have been really good. Like we had Jane Eyre, it was a really good version of that, and Small Island as well. Probably my favourite ones. What about you, Rob?
What about me? I've seen 2 Shakespeare plays. One of them was Midsummer Night's Dream or something.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. And the other one, The Merry Wives of Windsor.
Oh,
It's an interesting one to see.
These two, have you seen them on stage or
On stage? Yeah.
Alright.
nice.
Like at the RSC. I think out of all of us, I think I'm the only one who hasn't done a Shakespeare play, so I don't know how difficult it is to learn the lines. But yeah, those 2 plays of Shakespeare that I've seen, which I really enjoyed both of them.
I think with learning Shakespeare, I think I've always thought that although it's more difficult to learn, I think it sticks in your head for a lot longer. I think since my first one, which was The Tempest, which was over 3 years ago now, I can still remember my lines from that better than I can for plays that I've done, a year ago or something like that.
Interesting.
It's more memorable in the long run,
Yeah.
although it does take a little longer to get to that.
Yeah.
To get to that.
I mean,
point.
I was told once if you understand like what the words are, what the words mean, then it's easier to learn them. But if you're just learning it like just a bunch of words, then that's a more difficult way to learn them.
Yeah,
but
and of course
yeah,
it helps with the performance as well. I mean, obviously, to be able to actually have to understand what it is you're saying.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just comes across as.
I've always struggled learning my lines with Shakespeare. I've always struggled learning it. I couldn't grasp learning it very well. It took me a long time to learn a whole page. And even then I struggled. With a few parts being added in and taken out, any small change to what I've just learned throws me completely off. But once you get your head around it, I find that it's plain sailing after that. I found the easiest way for me to learn it was to learn the main monologues first, because then once I get that out of the way, the smaller parts end up just clicking. I've got the base of the character already from learning the monologues. I feel like it naturally flows after that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think when we did the Tempest, I literally learned it. I was playing 2 different characters, and so I just learnt it in order. I just went through, like, here's the first page that I'm in. Here's the first scene that I'm in, and I learned that. Even if I was learning different characters in different scenes, I think it was just a different approach. I just found it easier to go through completely methodically. But, obviously, each person's different. So
yeah.
What about you, Steve?
I quite like doing comedy farces, as they're called. Drinking Habits was a fun one to do that we did, and we read one in a script club the other night. That was quite farcical. That would be really fun to do. I mean, yeah, I've seen a few Shakespeare's on the live broadcasts. 12th Night. I always enjoy watching Midsummer Night's Dream, other versions.
But seeing them on screen is never as effective as going and seeing them live on stage.
True.
You feel more part of the energy.
Yeah.
If that's the right way of saying it.
Yeah.
When you're there watching it on stage.
Do. Yeah, you do, yeah.
Yeah, I think particularly open air performances as well can be of Shakespeare plays. Like a few years ago, I saw a production of Midsummer Night's Dream in Chester that was open air and in the round, and beautiful summer's night, and it was just a perfect atmosphere for the kind of the magic of the play, and just the whole kind of world of it worked really well. Open air, really, really good production. I remember coming to see Drinking Habits. I remember particularly enjoying that production. It was really fun play.
At the start of that play, that was my first ever time being on the stage.
Yeah, I'd forgotten you were in. I forgotten you were in that. I just
my part was so small. I had like 4 lines or something. You just forgotten.
See, now you've said that, I can. Yeah, I remember going at the end. Going, who was that guy? Why was he in it one scene? What was that about?
I was in 2 scenes actually, 2 scenes. But
2 scenes.
The first scene I had words to say. The second scene was at the start of Act 2, and I just had to bring like a bowl on and a few things on, put them on the table, and like, yeah, here you go, and then walk off. So that was my big moment.
You can afford that if you don't pay any of you, if the actors don't get paid. What plays would be my favourites? I mean, in terms of Shakespeare, I think my favourite is Julius Caesar. It was the first one I saw live in Stratford. Really enjoyed it. Really liked that play and some of the speeches. Midsummer Night's Dream is obviously brilliant. Macbeth is obviously brilliant. And I really like The Winter's Tale. Don't know if any of you've seen that one.
I haven't. I've heard of it though.
It's one of the late Romance plays, so it's kind of like The Tempest, but I think it's better because Act 1. The first half of it is like a tragedy, and then the second half turns into a comedy, and it has a happy ending, and it's really nice. And it's famous for having the exit pursued by bear.
Oh,
stage
yes.
direction.
In terms of Shakespeare, my 2 favourites, my number 1 favourite is Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Because of there's a few lines in there that I've always kind of remembered. For example, Friar Lawrence's "Hold thy desperate hand, art thou a man, like the fool's crown thou art, that tears a womanish, the wild axe note the unreasonable fear of a beast," and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah, she says the line, and so on and so on and so on.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, right, okay.
My second favourite Shakespeare play is Macbeth.
Ah, yes.
Non-Shakespeare, though. I think I really like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which I saw broadcast with Imelda Staunton. Really like that play, and she was really good in that production. And there's also the famous film version of it, which is equally good. I'd love to do that play one day. It's a four-hander.
A non-Shakespearean play I've watched in Ucheldre that I did like actually as well was I watched it a live broadcast. I think it was National Theatre, and it was The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time.
I had a workshop in school one time with the people that I think they did the kind of choreography and stuff for that production.
Oh.
But I haven't actually seen the play. I'd like to see it. One Man, Two Governors that was another one that was broadcast. It was kind of not challenging particularly, but it was just really fun.
It was quite funny, to be fair. They couldn't have cast it any better.
They did Frankenstein as well. They showed that
yeah.
with Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller.
That's the one.
Small Island, I mentioned earlier, was really, really good as well. So there were some great ones in that series. It was really probably the best part of lockdown for me.
Right, so we are coming up to the end of this second episode. If you guys have enjoyed and are watching on YouTube, then please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below telling us what you think.
We'll be posting on a Ucheldre Rep YouTube page and the Hereafter Productions Bandcamp.
Check out the links in the description for our other channels and websites. And it's goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And to play us out, we're going to play a song that I wrote for an early panto. We mentioned Les Mis earlier, and this was definitely inspired by Les Mis, particularly the song One Day More, which ends Act 1. And this song was also the ending of Act 1 of Robin Hood, and it's called Dark Before the Dawn. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Listen, can you hear the wind blow? The safety of the forest to the wild open road. It's time to go defeat our foes or die. It's time to be heroes.
They say it's only darkest before the dawn. They say that only love can help us weather the storm. So shout it from the windows
And tear down the walls.
and set the people free.
Join us, brothers,
Listen, can you hear the wind blow? The safety of the forest to the wild open road. It's time to go defeat our foes or die. It's time to be heroes. And I don't know when I'll be back again. And I don't know if I'll see you again. I don't know when I'll be back again.
Join us, brothers.
Listen, can you hear the wind blow? The safety of the forest to the wild